I remember I was doing Oscar and Alex at the same time. And I remembered one thing, that Oscar is a good guy. Oscar is all about good and is all about the good of people. Make sure that people are living good. No one is hurt. No one is going to die because Oscar is in the house. But I had to make Alex different. I had to make him the opposite of Oscar.
Yeah.
So that really made me get deep down into whatever nasty part I had in me to bring it on table.
Hey, UG boy, let's talk to them. Let's talk, chicka, let's talk to them. Let's talk to them. Let's talk to them. Let's talk, chicka, let's talk to them. Yeah, I'm from a beautiful place, the Pearl of Africa. Hailing with a 256, it's in my blood. That's a gem where the mountains rise, with stories untold. The tapestry of cultures unfolding, so vibrant and bold. A symphony of stars, a celestial light. The drums beating, echoing through the night, just like a beacon of light. A reflection that's coming up from the Nile. I'm flowing straight into the heart of Africa, with timeless stories untold. What's up, Doug?
Yeah, I'm so happy that you guys are tuned in on today's podcast. I think this is the first public announcement that I'm doing in a long time, because these things of content. So today's episode with Allan Kutos was really, really good. So I went to look at my video back, and the video from my end was not really good quality. My camera went out of focus, but the audio should be perfect. The video is not bad, but because there's a goal and level that I want to get to with my videos, that's why I'm making this clip before you watch it, because one thing I emphasize is quality work, and every time I don't meet that expectation of the quality of work that I want to do, I have to make that notice to my listeners. It's not terrible, and I want to say it's not terrible. It's not to the level that I want my podcast to be at. So bear with me, to all those guys who are going to watch this and you're big into video, anything, being sukako sometimes. But just so you know, I have a new idea that I have. So I'll be able to follow my quality of work on this iPad here, to see if my camera is out of focus, to make sure that I keep it in focus. So bear with me, but enjoy this episode. Thank you very much. May God bless you.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Katusimbule fetusimbude.
Tusimbule. Welcome once again to the Ugandan Boy Talk Show. On this podcast where I bring your famous people, the regular people, the celebrities, anybody and everybody out there that wants to come on here. We have a conversation about everything and anything. And today I'm very honored to have Mr. Allan Kutos Katongole. Before I have him talk, I prepared. This is the first Neda. Is the first guest? No, you're the first guest. I actually had to sit down to prepare this introduction. We just got a new introduction in detailed.
Wow.
But because of the I was honored to write down some introduction. So today we have a very special guest, someone who has truly made his mark in the Uganda entertainment industry. He's a multi-talented actor, musician, dancer, and a commercial model. You've seen him grace your screens as Oscar in Sanyu. He has also delivered an outstanding performance in films like 27 Guns, Boundary Mwisho, Building 62, and many, many more. His talent has not gone unnoticed. He won the Best Actor in a Series Drama at the Uganda Film Festival in 2022 and was named East African Male Best Dressed Actor in the Upendo Fashion Explosion Awards in the same year. He's also been nominated for prestigious awards, including Jazz Awards for Outstanding Actor in 2022, Best Actor in TV Series 2023. Beyond acting, he's made waves in the fashion world, earning a nomination of Outstanding Male Model of the Year at A Brands Fashion Awards in 2014. A man of many talents, a dedicated artist, someone whose work continues to inspire let's welcome Allan Kutos Katongole to the podcast. Ebintu bingi omusajja byakoze ntute almost 2 hours in my introduction. Welcome to the podcast.
Wow, thank you so much. First of all, I'm so humbled. I've grown so small in this chair that I'm sitting in when you're doing that introduction.
As a person, it's hard to actually think about the achievements you've done until somebody starts reading them off. Like I was reading a big guy on like I think you
Wow,
but no,
thank you.
I'm honored to have you, and I've seen your work even like before. I know Hakim, actually, when I was having a conversation with Hakim Ziwa on the podcast, he mentioned your name, and I've always wanted to sit down. I watched Sanyu, some clips of Sanyu, and there's a lot of my friends out there that have said, I told them I'm going to have you on the podcast. And they're going, hey, we enjoy hearing Oscar. So a lot of people are waiting to watch this podcast. So once again, welcome to my podcast.
Well, thank you. And thank you for hosting me, man. I'm really happy to be here. I've been watching so many episodes of this podcast. And trust me, I count myself among the lucky ones to be seated in this chair.
I want to start with the name Kutos.
Yeah.
Kutos chitegezaaki.
Kutos, I would ask my brother, but how I come about to be named Kutos, my brother Michael was studying at Makerere College, and he had a teacher named Katongole. So they used to nickname him Kutos, but not Kutos with an I, of which Kutosi is Awera Mugisu. It's a Mugisu name. Mm-hmm. It's a Chigisu name, and they nicknamed him Kutos. So that name crossed over at home because I had almost the same traits as his teacher. So he nicknamed me Kutos, and I remember when I was trying to create a name for my music, when I was starting to do music, I remember sitting down with my dad, and we were trying to create a name. Then he was like, how is Alan King? I'm like, Alan King? By then, chameleon, Kingi, so you can't compete with all the kings. I was like, how is Allan Kutos? He's like, Allan Kutos. No, me, I was like, I think Allan Kutos will work for me. Because by then, I was so inspired by Michael a lot. And I took it on. And to me, I was like, I'll give it a meaning. I'll give it my meaning, since it's a name it's just a nickname. So I was like, well, Kutos could mean greatness. Kutos could mean legend, anything.
When I was researching about you, because I love this podcast, one of the things I love about the podcast is like it gives me a task to do research about my guests, because I'm going to be able to have a conversation with you. I don't do those things of like, hey, Allan, these are 10 questions I'm going to ask you on my podcast. No. It's my duty as a host to research about you, find the things that I want to talk about. And it was cool to research about you and learning the name Kutos and learning that you were actually a musician. You had was it a band or a group, TMS? What does TMS stand for?
TMS stands for Truth Made Solid.
Was it a band with other guys?
Yeah, we were. Well, let me say, we started in high school. It was an affiliate in Watoto. Like, it was a fellowship. Okay. Of every high school, let me say, people that are in high school that year, they create a dance group, or they do anything that could move that set of that year of youth into something. So my boys came up with a dance group, and I joined them. I joined one of my boys. He's the leader of TMS. Truth Made Solid. He's called Brian Kirinjula. So we were studying at St. Lawrence Creamland, and he tells me about the group, because by then we were still dancing with him at Creamland. So I didn't know about TMS, and he calls me up and he's like, man, when you come home, let's join TMS. It's a good thing. These are just guys dancing, and they're doing cool stuff. So I was like, cool. I joined, and I became the guy who does the flips and the hard stuff, the one they throw around, because everyone was taller than me. So, but we started doing dance. We did dance in church. We moved to different churches, schools, and stuff like that. Then we went into music as well. We did part of music, and yeah, it's up to now. I won't say the group is still active, but the group members still meet up and we talk about some other things because right now people can't dance. Some people can't dance.
That's a cool thing. Another cool thing about this, because a lot of people, and some of people who might tune into this podcast today might come because they have seen you on TV as an actor, as Oscar. Ninga, they don't know that you've been a dancer, you've been a musician, you're a model. So that's why the podcast bring the details of things that people don't know about you. And that's the cool thing I like about it. And you mentioned Michael. I'm one of the people who didn't know you're brother to Michael Rose. I'm like, I didn't know.
Whoa.
And I thought it's so like cool. I was like, because I grew up listening to Michael Rose. I love him. And I was like, damn, I'm so honored to even have just a brother to his podcast. How is it like growing up as is he your elder brother or you're the young brother?
Yeah, he's my elder brother. Oh, come on. Michael is way older than me, man. He doesn't look like his age, but sometimes I wonder, I'm like, but Michael Chikolo, like, how do you manage to stay this young and still your birth certificate says something else?
I have one older brother. We are two boys. My brother Benjamin, he's older than me. He's 2 years older than me. But some people say I look older than him or something like that. Like, but some people think I'm younger. So, Tomanya Munang.
Michael Vachikolate, but he's. I've been looking up to Michael for since, because Michael used to rehearse in our sitting room when he used to do karaoke at Sabrina's pub and deviate if you're a person who used to go out by then.
I remember.
So I remember tagging along. I was 8 years and I asked permission from my dad, and it was really hard for my father to let me go, but he let me go after knowing I can get something out of it. But when I reached on the stage, people give me money and all these things, and I just came as a backup dancer for Michael. You know, I was like, I just would you do a segment? Me, I just come, I dance, I go, just to hype this, the whole scene and all that. And since then, I've been looking up to him, you know, him doing music. Michael is part of the reasons why I started doing music. You get, and if he wasn't in the picture, probably I would have been a soccer player or rugby player.
Yeah,
you know, or a gymnastic guy because I used to do gymnastics at school. So he really and he also guided me in a way. He gave me a few tips, but he didn't want me to be under his shadow. You get, and then when I find like dancing, I was like, yeah, do that and make sure you do big in it. Don't do small. Like be the great in it. And then when I found film, I think when I found film, I found my footing. I could feel like this is where I belong. This is something I can do on my own. This is something I can bring to the world, and no one, like, it is something I could do naturally.
Your other sibling, your sister Stella, brings you to the film world, which I'm gonna bring up here soon when we get to your career. And but I wanted to touch on your sister Stella because recently you just did an interview with her on NTV. I saw it. How did that go? How did it feel being interviewed by your sister?
First of all, it was so weird. I didn't know how it was going to go, and I just told Stella, please, let's be at our best behavior because we're going to be talking to the whole nation. We're not sitting in our sitting room at home where we used to do so many things, so many crazy things. So with Stella, we do so much. Like before even she called me to film, we used to do skits at home, you know, that we put on YouTube, and these are just things we do in a take, just a one take. And we look at it and we're like, perfect, it's perfect. Let's do another one. So her, of course, bringing me onto the show, I didn't know how it was going to go. First of all, I was kind of confused because I wanted to bring back what we had in the sitting room at home, but I got to know that the setting we're in is different. And even for her, she had to keep herself as the host of the show, and she had to, you know. But it was cool. It was cool. We tapped some home memories, and it was good that actually people got to know what really happened at home and how we got to be in this place or this position here.
Cool. I didn't get to tune in because of the time difference, but I saw that it was out. And maybe if NTV posts their things on YouTube, I'll catch it and just listen to you guys' conversation. I always just think about him like, what would it be if, because I'm planning to have my brother on the podcast, and I'm like, it's crazy the conversation you'll have with your brother.
Yeah,
and
but
just talk
for a
about that.
podcast, you guys don't have that limitations you have when Mwasuze Mutia, where even politicians are
That is true.
watching, like everyone is watching, so it's kind of hard. You have to maintain a certain posture, a certain degree of behavior. So other than that, if there were no boundaries, we would have taken 2 hours on that show or even more.
Yeah, that's actually true. Like with podcasts, you get away with a lot of stuff. It's a platform where people come and just talk whatever they want to get without limitations or anything. And that might feel different. In your introduction, I said you're a professional actor, dancer, singer, and a model. And we've talked about some of that stuff. On this podcast, I have 4 segments. Usually the first one doesn't count because we are kind of just chit-chatting about stuff. But the 4 segments I have, one of them is called This or That. So I ask you 5 questions of 2 things. You're going to have to choose one of them. You give us an explanation if you have one, but I know there are some questions where you're like, I don't really have an explanation. I just choose this.
All right.
So those 5 questions are covering your introduction, the profession, the career you do. And the first one is movies or TV shows?
Movies. Why? With TV shows, it's I'll take it as a footballer who plays soccer every day, and you have to train literally every day, play every game. So there's too much work involved in TV series than a feature film. So I think I'll go for a feature film because also you can put in there's so much time in creation that goes into a feature film than TV series. With TV series, you're running against time, so you escape a few things. You remove a few things, so everything is you make it easier for the viewer to see. There's not so much things you put in for people to go deep into thinking, so you make it easier for them. But with film, you have all the space. Oppenheimer, you can do something like let me give an example of Oppenheimer. Such a movie, it requires you to sit down and think, watch and take your time with it. But with a TV series, it's time, 30 minutes, please, we're running against time. Make sure you cry at the right time. That's it. And we need that emotion. That's what we need. That's it. Yeah. So feature films for me.
Acting on stage or in front of a camera?
In front of the camera.
Yeah.
With stage, you have no second takes, man.
That's true.
Once you've said your line, once you've forgotten your line, you better have ways of coming back. You better have good comeback techniques. Otherwise, it's gone. But with in front of the camera, you have a take.
Do you have any memories of forgetting a line, or even on stage?
I haven't had so many opportunities on stage. Mostly they've been with school, MDD. And for theater, I haven't come to theater. With theater, I think I did a dance production with Hakeem, with the Tabu Flow. Really, I never got a chance to be on stage to act and, do that. Mostly it has been in front of the camera and running scripts and learning lines and stuff. But I've had many, 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 many scenarios where I've forgotten my lines and everyone is looking at you like, bro, we don't have that time. And you're trying your best. You're like, what is happening to me? I need a drink. I need this. Do some push-ups, to get your mind up. It's It's been hard, especially the long scenes. Those long scenes, sometimes you may forget the most crucial word, and you have to do it again. So yeah, there are many. I can't. If I could put a scenario, there's a scene I did in Sanyu, the first season. This is when I'm really trying to settle into Oscar now. It was really hard because it was really my first time doing very intense scenes like back to back, and this scene was so long. I was literally the one speaking only in front of everyone, and I'm telling them the factory is closing down. And trust me, it took me. I remember even the director Matthew. He kind of got pissed. Was like, man, we don't have your time, man. Better pull up your socks or do it. And all that pressure was on me. I'm looking at Matthew. I'm looking at everyone. I'm wasting time, and well, eventually it kicked in with the pressure.
I've acted in school, but I'm so shy, and I don't know. It just comes with so much. I give respect. There's two people I give a lot of respect to in life is hip hop artists and actors.
Wow.
Because that takes a lot of with hip hop. I've told these hip hop artists that I've had on the podcast. I've had Rionga here, and other hip hop artists. It takes creativity, and not to say that the people who sing other style of music, they don't create or they don't, but with hip hop, especially with the rhymes, you have to make sure it matches. You have to be poetic. And for me, I don't do that. It requires a lot of creativity. Now with acting, you have to have a lot of memory. You can give me my line, and in 2 minutes I've forgotten it.
Well, it's hard. It's hard. I think with time you get into it, because I think I would say that Sanyu was the job that I got that made me realize that I can be an actor. You know, despite doing a couple of movies before, the roles I did were not that serious. So most times the pressure comes with the role that you're doing. So most roles require you to really research a lot. And you may find some people are just extras or just supporting actors. And the pressure is not so much on them. But usually if you're a lead, there's really, really so much pressure on you, because you have to relate with every person, and you relate to them differently you cannot relate the same with all the characters in that movie. You have to change personalities, traits, because the way I talk to Bonnie is different with how I talk with Stella on an interview, you get. So everything changes in a way. So you just have to keep your mind just be on your toes. Yeah, as a professional anyway, you just have to do it.
And that's the other thing too I meant to mention with actors is this movie, you're going to act as a doctor. This movie, you're going to act as a thief. Then the other movie, you act as, you have to change characters all the time. And recently I was watching a movie here. What's the name of this movie? I've forgotten. But I'd seen this guy in another movie called Game Night. He was acting as a policeman. Now in this other movie, he's acting as a different person. I cannot unsee him from the movie I saw him. If I see you in Sanyu as Oscar, I cannot unsee you in Boundary Mwisho as this guy, but that's a talent too, to be able to just be flexible.
Trust me, I've been learning a few things from other professionals, and I use other genres, let me say sports. I'm a big fan of football, so I really take an example like Ronaldo has been a Manchester player all his life, and he's a diehard Manchester, player and fan at the same time. But he has to change teams and go to Real Madrid. From there he has to go to Juventus. And you remember you're meeting companies that have different visions. So you just leave Manchester United behind and get into Real Madrid and get into the vision of Real Madrid and play as a Real Madrid player. But it doesn't take away anything that you are still a football player. So I take it that if an actor just changes office, you get, but your profession remains the same. It's what you do in the office.
That's the best way to put it, actually. It helps me and understand and look at it in that way very well. Playing, we were still doing, actually, this is why I love podcasts, because we just bring something and we just take a detour, just talk about something else, and then we come back. We're still on this or that. Playing a hero or a villain?
I don't know why, but I got a thing for villains, man.
Yeah.
A good guy is easy to act. Being good, it's so easy for everyone. But being a bad person or being a bad guy in a movie, you're required to bring out much more than just being good, but totally being bad, and people believe that, okay, I don't like you. You get. I remember I was doing Oscar and Alex at the same time, And I remembered one thing, that Oscar is a good guy. Oscar is all about good, and is all about the good of people. Make sure that people are living good. No one is hurt. No one is going to die because Oscar is in the house. But I had to make Alex different. I had to make him the opposite of Oscar.
Yeah.
So that really made me get deep down into whatever nasty part I had in me to bring it on table. You get. And even I was playing in Beloved, I was doing Derek when I was acting with Paris Helen Lokoma. I had to bring out my nasty self because I was supposed to be this nice guy when I was vibing her, but when she came into my trap, I had to really change my emotion and be totally a bad person that she has never seen, and she would hate me even if she had my name. And even when I was beating her with the belt, I had to put on that face like I imagined myself beating someone I don't like.
Yeah.
And she got scared at the point. She was like, I hope you're not going to beat me for real. I was like, no, Tofa. Imagine being hard and then you're like, oh, no, Tofa, we're good. So you just have to bring out your worst self in you and put it on the table. And so that when Bonnie looks at me, it's like, Alan, I don't want to see you again because I think you have that person in you.
Yeah.
You get, but literally it's just being a professional and you bring emotions to the table.
So this is where I want to ask you this question. And I've asked other actors that I've had on the podcast. Do you ever feel like when you change your character from who Alan is to act as Oscar, let's say like a bad person, does that ever affect your personal life even after the film? Or you just leave that at the film and Alan continues? Or do you see those things affecting you personally?
Personally, no. They have never affected me. For all the characters that I've done, I have never gone back home with a bad mood because I've done a scene that has made me cry. I feel like actors have the freedom to be different people. You get. When you have that kind of freedom, imagine, Bonnie, you being President Museveni for a day. You understand? Imagine being Connie for just a day or for a couple of months. Why? I take it as the freedom to know how other people feel, how other people felt like in that situation. So to me, I take it as we have the freedom to be anything we can. Anything we decide to be, I can be it.
Right.
Though I remember going back with an emotion from a scene I did. We were wrapping up Sanyu, and I was doing a scene with Abe Muchivi, Chirunda, my father. I went to see him in prison because he was arrested, and there was no hope of Oscar seeing his father again. The season, the whole thing was ending. The father was arrested, and he didn't look like he's coming back. And I had this scene with him. He gave me a letter to give to my mother because it was her birthday. And as we sat down and we talked, it occurred to me that he was not going to come back home. You get? And it took me back because most times to bring out these emotions, we tap into what hurt you, what made you cry, what can prompt you to cry. So I remember I pictured my father, because my father died last year, but one. And I remember I looked at Abby as my father, who I was never going to see again. And it took a toll on me, and I started, like, I wasn't really supposed to cry. I was supposed to be sad. But I ended up crying because I saw my dad leaving me. Like, literally, Oscar is going to not to see his father again, same as Allan Kutos is never going to see his dad ever again. So even Abe himself found himself crying because he knew my situation. And when my dad died, he told me that, don't worry, I'm going to become your new father. So literally, I was looking at him as my father, whom I'm never going to see again. And again, my dad who passed on that I will never see again. So it took a toll on me. And as we finished that scene, I remember crying outside while I'm getting these costumes off. And he came to me as well and he tapped me. He's like, I know. And since then, I've never forgot. That was the most emotional scene I've ever done with him, because I saw a man. He's a very strong man, but he wasn't even supposed to cry. But he knew that this scene meant something, and he started crying too. And man, it made me break down. So most times we find ourselves going back with these emotions, but we as professionals, you just go, you do your job and go back home. And you take it as any other 9-to-5 job.
Actually, you talk about that scene, and it's one of the scenes I've watched from Sanyu. I listened to it. I listened to that conversation. And while you were talking about it, my brains were going back to it. And it's very emotional and it's touching, and you did a very good job on that. Now, I know why it came out so perfect as it was on the TV, because now I know the backstory of what's going on. And that's why I love podcasts. That's why I love to sit down with people and have a conversation, because when you see things, and I usually relate this to other life, when you see something on Instagram, you take your own judgment to it and then you sit with it. But when you have a conversation with somebody and he tells you what's going on, you have a different understanding of that same thing. So like right now, it gives you a better understanding. And that's why I encourage people to talk to people a lot than just watching something and just taking it as the final conclusion.
Exactly.
Take time to sit with a person. Ask why. Like why? That question right there, 3 letters, can change your life a lot. So anyway, I love this podcast because this has never happened on my podcast ever since I started doing this or that, where we digest each segment, like even like a 5-minute segment. But I love it. So the next one is dancing or singing?
Dancing.
Yeah. Actually, I had a feeling that you'll pick that one.
Well, I must say that I threw myself at singing. You know, I felt like I used to watch a lot of videos, watch Usher, Michael Jackson, you know, Chris Brown. I like somehow it makes you feel like you can also do it, you know? And I decided to throw myself to it. I was like, you know what? I can actually do music. If Michael can do it, I can do music too. So I went to a studio. Actually, we started at school as Tsunami Entertainment. And we're recording songs. We go to some local producer. We produce music, which no one has ever had. But we used to release it and put it on our phones, send it to a friend. You get... But still, you could feel like it is something you can grow into. You get it. It's like it's not something I could do in a flash. I can sing, you get, but I can't sing so good like Maurice Krier or Michael, or you know, of which that level requires you to, you know, put in some time, rehearse, done this and that. So I felt like I didn't have the time to put into it, but I felt like I had the skill, but not the talent. So it's just a skill that needed more breeding and, you know, cultivating it into something better. But I didn't get the time because I didn't have the resources. When I did an album of 8 songs, it's called The Collection, with with APAS and Nassim's help, you know. Those guys really helped.
Shout out to APAS. You know, let me distract you for a little bit. APAS has been mentioned in 3 times consecutive in my last 3 episodes for different reasons. The first one was Lukman Ali. He said people told him that he looks like APAS. And he goes on to joke. It's like, he says, I thought I was handsome, but now people saying I look like APAS.
I know.
The second one with Ryonga. Ryonga talks about how he did a show in Serena and he thought he did it. And then APAS comes on to do like a very fantastic show. And now this episode, you're here talking about APAS, how it was part of your journey. Shout out to you, man.
But shout outs to APAS, man. You are great, man. First of all, let me tell you this scenario. So I'm recording a song. It's entitled "Oh No" in my on my album, The Collection. So I'm recording with Nassim, and so APAS used to stay at Buddy Studios because that's where we used to record from. It was in Makindi, so close to home. So I just used to walk there. So we are trying to get something, you know, get bars into the whole beat and all that. And he comes into the studio. He looks at me, he's like, oh, kola bichikwe. I'm like, man, tuli wano tuyiya. He's like, vayo. Tamumanyi vayo nze ngenda kuwandikira oluyimba. Ate saagala sente. I'm like, okay. You know, he's so full of himself, which I like. You get? Like he knows what Apis can do. So he steps into the booth, he records his song and walks out. And I'm like, when I did the song, he came to listen to it. He's like, yeah. Afazali awo no kati no okola music you get. But I'm a big fan of Apis. A big fan. Like that made me like him so much. Like he's really a person who has so much but still has so much to give. You get. And I really thank him. He did just one small thing, and till now I can talk about Apis like he did an album for me.
I'm wiping my eyes because I was trying to hold my laugh when you were making the impression of Apis. You are an actor. Like, respect to you without even anything. Forget the introductions I did on the podcast.
Oh, wow.
If you just did that, I'll just say, he's an actor. That was 100% Apis. I was crying, but I didn't want to mess up that clip because I'm going to cut it out. Put it on Instagram and tag Apis because it's funny as No, Apis is a great guy. I had an opportunity to sit with him on the podcast. It was one of my best conversations I've ever had on the podcast, and a lot of people resonated with it. He's a great guy for the industry, and I'm so honored to know him, and he's supportive. Like when I started my podcast, some days I was losing hope, and he just tells you, hey, you're doing great, man. And some days you feel like it's not going. He posts something, even with other artists, like he put up a tweet about artists not forgetting their work because people are buying likes and stuff. He's just like, just do your work. You have good work. It's just like people haven't tapped into it. And that's a reminder. It helps us, all of us content creators. No, that was perfect. Traditional Ugandan cinema or Hollywood style productions. Tolia Monsi or look what.
Of course not. I was coming. I was just trying.
I was kidding.
Trust me, in a few years to come, Hollywood is going to be knocking on Uganda's door. Because
that's true.
There is no... Okay, let me put it like this. Hollywood has literally done almost everything. And Uganda, we have a lot of stories and information to put out there that the world hasn't seen. Let me give you an example. Look at, we usually do kingdom things, like kingdom movies. So look at Kabaka Mwanga, Kabaka Mutesa. By then, we had Echigo. We had so many things going on in the kingdom that not even Wakanda can show. You understand? We have the Uganda Matters. We have so many presidents that we don't know their experiences that happened, and of which you can put this information to the world, and it's news to the world. The only thing they know about Uganda is Idi Amin.
Mm-hmm.
And Hollywood has come here to do a movie on Idi Amin. But in case they were to do that, and they are going to come back more for more stories like that, I'm telling you, Hollywood would get a base where they can stay and start doing movies here in Uganda, because we have a lot of content that Ugandans don't have the potential to put out.
Mm-hmm.
We have the films, we have the stories, but most times how we tell them is not enticing for the world to buy this content or to consume this content. You understand? So what we can do is increase or maybe have better infrastructure, have a good system that can support the content we have to move out for people to buy and consume our content. So back to your question, I think I'll go for Ugandan best or cultural, I feel like it's a baby, it's still virgin. I'm telling you, how many Ugandan actors have made it to the international scene? Or maybe when Hollywood comes here, I would prefer if Hollywood came here, they would have, if they decided, they would have a whole cast and crew to do any movie they wanted. But because by then they only knew a few people. They only knew a few people, the Abe Muchivis, the Cleopatras, many other people. A few people, I'm going to mention a few. But right now, if we had everyone doing one of the best movies that Ugandans can see, let me say, Building 62, you get, and you put in your time, create it, and put it out there. In that, Hollywood can still buy that content, but almost sometimes they're going to be being so low budget that no muntu naye ayagala okugula tafuna maanyi kugula content so that they can consume it, or even sponsors. So I would go for Uganda because we're still virgin and we can still do way much better. And Hollywood, Chatu Kada is still at the brim, and I feel right now they just need to empty and refill, of which Ugandan content would be the place where they could fill in that content.
But I'll still give it up to you guys. I think the growth, you can see the growth of the Uganda films right now. Like the movies, like the Hakims have done, Lukmans have done. It's just going up. And I agree with what you just said. It's going to get to a part where everybody wants to just come and tap in on, because where the experience is getting, the quality of production we're having, the quality of teams that people are having, like Quad A, who everybody keeps mentioning all the time here, like that kind of stuff. I think we are on the right track. And even Ugandans themselves had given up on watching their own films because of the production. But now, I was just texting a friend and telling him I'm going to have Allan Kutos on my podcast. But I enjoyed Sanyu. Like you hear these feedbacks from Sanyu. Everybody like loves it. And people now, they love the Ugandan films too, which the industry is definitely on the right track at the point. Anyway, like I said, just those 5 questions have taken us through like 40 minutes of just conversation. That means like I could talk to you like for forever. We're not even tapped into your main session. But we're going to, most of the stuff that I was going to ask you later, we've covered, and we just like go through some of the stuff, which is cool. I love it. Yeah. We've talked about you being an actor, and at the beginning I talked about your sister Stella, who brought you into film. Like, is that what inspired you to get into acting, or was something else that inspired you?
Well, before even Stella called me into acting, she knew the kind of person I was, because at home, we used to have load shedding a lot, but then we used to have UEB. So we used to be at home, netekako tala ya fetado na mafuta tuanga tugafunye, and we used to have a talent show, if I can put it like that. We used to do comedy, we used to sing, we used to dance, we used to catwalk, we used to wear girls' clothes, our sisters' clothes, and we model. So it was a whole family that was just into music, dance, and drama in their free time. So, like I mentioned before, we used to have those skits we did with Stella, those one takes. So we used to work together doing those things. And when we get together, we're like, man, we do something. What should we do? And we're like, okay, now let's see Ugandan ads. Okay, so what should we put it like? Ugandan ads be like, and then we imitate how it goes about. So we were really good at imitating people. So we had that whole acting bit in us. So when she calls me to come on a Second Chance, she knew that I was going to do so well. And of course, she gave me a few tips here and there, and I was really scared before even I did it. I was like, okay, I don't know how all this goes about, but katulabe. And spontaneously like that, things started moving, and yeah. So with her, she brought me onto the scene because she was the first in our family to do movies. Everyone was looking into music. Of course, Michael was doing music, and I felt like I could do music too. So I didn't look at acting by then. But Stella was doing movies, and I didn't really see it as a big opportunity for me to step into until I stepped into it. And the rest is history. Here we are.
It's been an amazing journey, and I saw one picture you had chilling in bed with all your awards. That was a cool dope picture, and just see the achievement. It's cool to
Thank
see
you.
you getting appreciated for the work that you do and actually doing something that you love. The other thing I want to add on your career, I've noticed even on your Instagram, you love inspiring younger people, even going to schools with some of your friends and inspire these talents that are out there. I think you went to a certain school where they had MDD. You were one of the judges. Things like
Yeah.
that. I love people noticing this talent because, like you said, in Uganda we have a lot of talent. Not even just acting. There's a lot of talent that are not
So
being
much.
tapped into. So watching you just going to seek this talent to help bring up other people, other Allans who are out there that would want to be like I give you respect for that, because a lot of people these days, they reserve their knowledge to themselves. They want to be the great
Yes.
Nzomunene,
Yeah.
Ndumunene, Bichi Bichi, just to bring themselves up. But I
Yeah.
love to see that as you're going up, you want to bring somebody else with you. So kudos for that. And
Thank you.
it's much
Thank you.
appreciated. Can you share a moment in your career that has shaped you as a person today?
In my life, I happened to pass by or go through church. I remember I was a youth pastor at Makindye Christian Center through Pastor Yasin. That was Fiona Mukasa. I don't know if you remember Fiona Mukasa. She was a gospel artist. So I started from there. I started praying from there. Though I got saved from Watoto, so I started ministering at Makindye Christian Center. And by the time there was a transformation of Makindye Christian Center, so they moved churches from places to places. The church moved, so it went all the way to Salama. So they left Pastor Yasin in that church to run. Godfrey Mukasa, Fiona Mukasa left Pastor Yasin to run the church. So he was my good friend because he was so young by then, and he made me become his, let me say, PA, or let me say bodyguard or wingman. So I used to look after him when he's on, like, praying for people, when, they're casting out demons, I don't know if you've been to a church when it's going crazy, people.
I was born in a church.
I had to be that guy who guards him. You get. And just through all that process in there, I was learning so much about life versus faith, and how you intertwine them to be one, and how you can put faith, like, apply into reality, into today life. So back to your question, I think faith has really modeled how I move, or whatever I do, or whatever achievement that I get. I always refer it to God, that it hasn't been my strength. It has not been my strength at all. And I remember receiving the UFF award, and I was like, okay, Allan, you've just come onto the scene. Like, what are you going to say? Like, yo, guys, man, and I've been doing this and that, I was like, no. There's only one person you can thank right now, and that is God, who has put you in this place. So I would say most of my sanity, my decision making, my personal life is shaped with faith in God.
I love that. I love asking people about their faith. Actually, you answered that question because it was going to be my next question that I was going to ask you about your faith, but you tied it into one, and I love that. If you had to choose one of your talents to focus on for the rest of your life, which one would it be and why?
Film.
Yeah.
Why? Because with film, I can still use all my other talents in one. I can make a dance movie. I can do a musical film where we're just singing, I can do a movie about sports, do a documentary do a movie about maybe Vipers or SC Villa, and I take on one of the characters that has been the legend in SC Villa. I can literally use film for everything. I can be anything with film. So I think I'll go with film.
Yeah, I think that's you give a very good defense for that answer, and it makes sense. It makes sense why you would choose that. So you describe yourself as a quiet person in public, but you deeply enjoy the moment. How has your personality trait influenced your work and the relationship in the industry. Because when people see you, and I've never met you in person, but just from seeing you, and now that we're having a conversation, I see you as a humble person, but also you get the job done. Like there's being humble and just like, nah, you're still effective in what you do, straight to the point,
Yeah.
but still humble, open, talk to people. How has that helped you in this industry and in your relationships with other people?
Well, number one, my humbleness keeps me in check. You get, with other people's attitudes or how they take themselves. I always bring myself to the scene as someone new to the scene, wherever I am. You get, I take myself that I've not learned a lot. There's always still much more to learn. So, me being a quiet person, okay, if you phone me one-on-one, I'm really good with one-on-ones. Like when I sit down with people really get to know who I really am. You get, but you will never find me every day going, or maybe with a couple, walking with a gang of people, and people
You
know,
got
like, I don't know. It's kind of hard for me, even when I'm going out. Like, I go out with one or two people, maybe my girlfriend or my brothers, or by then we used to move with family. So I keep my circles small, and most times when you invite so many people into your space, most times people take advantage or misuse the space you've given them. So most times I prefer meeting you one-on-one by any chance, and still whatever you know about me, well, you can go with that. It's until you get to meet me, and then you get to find out who I really am. How does it affect my work? Well, I like you said, when the time comes to work, I forget that I'm humble. I forget that I'm whoever I am. I just do the job that is on the table. You get, if you've called me to oh wow, I just remembered something. I remember Matthew told me to do a scene where Oscar was getting drunk in the scene, and he was high. He didn't have any care in the world, and he told me, Oscar, undresses. I'm like, but for you, we understand you're cool. So I'm like, what? I'm going to do it. I am going to do it. They're like, hey. I'm like, yes. I remember removing everything. I was like, okay, no, we're going to do too much. Just stay in your vest and your boxer, period. I'm like, oh, muonye. Otherwise, I was going to go all the way out. So it depends on the work that I'm doing, but I just go all the way up when it's needed, and I keep my cool when it's needed as well.
So I wanted to also just touch on a few movies. We're not going to talk all of them, because if we start doing every movie you've been in, we're going to take another hour of just it. But just I watched you in Boundary Mwisho. It was amazing. Just
Thank you.
It was a powerful film. Like your roles that you had in there. How did you prepare for Boundary Mwisho?
Boundary Mwisho, first of all, this is the point when I figured that actors can literally be anything. So as a surgeon, I remember I tried to look out for information concerning surgeons and whatever. And of course, there was also organ trafficking in there. And of course, this is something that is happening in Uganda. People traffic organs. And I wanted to know if I was going to do anything in the lab or on someone where I get to cut things and stuff. So I remember Hakim told me, we shall see how we do it, but and when a producer or director says that, you don't want to waste so much time into researching about something, and then you get to find out that it's not going to happen. So what I did, the little information I had about doctors, I went with it. And mostly it was to do with how he felt about the job he was doing with the dealers, you get. And I focused more on the emotion, on how he feels. And when the part came to me now being the surgeon, that's where now the trick came in, because you know, most times when you don't have so much to work with, you find that you cannot
Right.
blow out yourself. So you use the resources that you have to make it work. So I remember we did whatever we did, and I had to really pull off this whole scene like I'm really cutting someone, and you know how they do it. I used to watch ER, and I remember going back to a YouTube video, and I remember them putting those things, and we seeing the back, and those things are. I was like, okay, I think I can do this, since they're not going to, a lot is not going to be shown. So it was a good way to go about it. But of course, I know more work was needed if more work was going to be shown on TV. You get, but with the little work that we had, I think we killed it.
I watched the whole thing. Actually, I think I watched it like 3 times. And like maybe I was watching from a fan's perspective, like a viewer's. Like I'm not so much into directing films. Like I don't know what went wrong.
Yeah.
Till Hakim was here and just helped me like see some other stuff. We could have done better here. Could have, but to me as a fan, everything was perfect. He's doing his surgeon. They're taking the heart. They're taking this. I enjoyed. I had a good day. For me, I think he didn't have the right knife. I think he didn't have the. I don't know, but no, it was a good film, and I think he pulled it off. And it goes back to what you were saying, like maybe it was good for what it met the intent. When I work at my work, they usually tell me you do it as long as it meets the intent of what you're trying to do. It's good. It counts. 27 Guns was a movie of Uganda history. What was it like working in that film and such a deep historical background?
Wow, first of all, that's when I got to know that actually Ugandans do biopics, or let me say documented movies. You get about people that did good in history or did great. So first of all, it was a privilege, a very big privilege, working on this cast, working as a cast member here, because the production was big, it was huge, and as a first timer in the industry, this felt like heaven. Like, man, I've arrived. They had. I remember the crew was big. Everything was big. Like the real guns were real. The guns were real guns, though they used. I don't want to get into all that, but the guns were real.
Yeah.
So I remember we went to train on how to use these guns. You know, you have to look like you know what you're doing. Like,
right.
These guys have been in the bush for all this long, and if you're coming to do their part or something, you have to look like you know how to hold a gun. And that's when it hit me like, okay, actors go this far. They actually put in the work. You need to know everything has to look natural. So to me, it was a very good start. It showed me what a movie is all about. You know, you put in the time and you never compromise on, if you have the money, don't compromise, do it. Again, working with Natasha, it was the best thing ever. You know, at least I have it somewhere that when Natasha has a big movie to do, she'll think about me somewhere. You know, she'll be like, I have Allan's name somewhere. I've seen him act. So to me, it's a big plus. And I just wish we could have bigger movies than 27 Guns. You get?
Yeah.
I just pray maybe she has her plans, but I just pray she comes out and does more movies, because I liked how she did the 27 Guns and the resources she put in, and trust me, everything felt like a film set. So to me, it was a very big opportunity acting in buildings. In 27 Guns. You know,
27 Guns.
Involved.
Yeah.
But again, working with big actors, Michael Wawuyo. That's the time I met Michael on set, Wawuyo. And we became good friends. And he shared with me very many things on how to act and how to bring the character to life. Man, it was a very big experience for me. I never take it for granted. And I thank God that I went through that.
There's a lot of other movies to highlight, but I'll just leave it at that. And my last question in this segment will be, what advice would you give to a young artist who wants to follow your footsteps?
Number one, be prepared. Always be prepared, because you don't know when the opportunity is going to come. You don't know who is thinking about you. You don't know who has seen or thinks of adding you to their film. So just be ready. When I was called for Sanyu, it was during COVID, and I was in my room just trying to audition for radio. Sanyu FM by then was laying off people, and I wanted to be among the presenters. By then, it didn't work out. But guess what? Within that time frame, I get a call to audition for Sanyu. And I had to send an audition that seemed like I had acted for about 10 years. And when I got the role, much as I didn't have so much experience, I had to be like a termite. My dad told me to be like a termite, with its teeth. So is anything that comes this way, so is to, so just be ready to attack. You don't know where the wind or whatever the wind is going to blow your side. Just be ready. Just be ready. Because blessings always find the people that are ready for them.
The final segments that we're going to do, this is rapid fire. Rapid fire is just give me the first answer that comes in your head. It's just going to be a short answer. You don't have to explain on it.
All right.
What is the best role you've ever played?
Alex.
That's Sanyu, right?
Yes.
So in Sanyu, you were Oscar and Alex? You had 2 roles. Oh, okay.
Of course, Oscar is the main guy, but Alex was a switch that I really enjoyed so much.
If you could have dinner with any actor, who would it be?
Denzel Washington.
I saw somewhere you liked Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes, Schwarzenegger was a childhood inspiration, but when I grew into an actor, I knew that actually Denzel is the right guy to follow, because he has the traits that you can add onto your profession and kill it.
Denzel, I've watched some of his clips talking. That guy is so smart. Like, he's
Very
deep
smart
in his conversation. Like,
thank you.
Dang, I like him. I like him so much. I like Jason Statham though, because he was born on my birthday and I love his movies.
Okay.
We shared a birthday.
Yes.
What's your favorite Ugandan film or TV show besides the one you've acted in?
Musical Express.
If you weren't an entertainer, what career would you pursue? You don't have to mention actor, don't mention dancer, don't mention model, don't mention what's the other one? Singer, nay, soccer player, because you said soccer player. I eliminated all those.
Hey, that's a hard question, by the way. Radio presenter.
I knew you were gonna say that, because actually you're just we're just talking
Trust
about you
me.
going to Sanyu. I knew you were gonna say that.
I've always wanted to do that, but I don't know. Chance will present itself.
One word to describe you best.
Noble.
That's amazing. Anyway, final 3. There's the final 3 questions that I ask each guest on this podcast. They're always the same. What's a life lesson you've learned in life to this point?
Man, there are a lot of lessons. Never forget where you came from.
What gets you excited about life?
I've always seen myself as someone that inspires other people out there from what I've gone through. And I would want to see maybe what would make me happy is, or what makes me so happy about life is that me seeing people rip off my good work that I've done, or the things that I've shared with them, or the knowledge that I've shared with them. And the fact that I'm not going to say so into Christ or whatever, but it's a necessity in life. But again, sharing with other people concerning things of God. When you sit down and, just meditate on life, and it always take you down the drain of God, because literally there's nothing that was done without God. You get, so
That is deep.
I would go with that. I said.
All right. The final question. Who would you like to see on this podcast next as a guest? And you're going to help me to get that person here.
Okay. My friend Alexon Odax. He's I don't know if you've watched Beloved. Can I mention 3 people?
Give me 3 people.
Okay. 1, Kathy Namugenyi, Sanyu, Odax Alexon. He acted in Beloved.
Okay.
And Cyrus Bagamba. I don't know if you've got him on this podcast. You know, he's almost everywhere. So I would like him to be part of this podcast here. Cyrus, he's always with Wanda Jr.
That would be amazing. Yeah, you can connect me to them and we'll have them on this podcast to just talk about their journey and just a conversation. This is what I like, to cover everything about the person. Anyway, Allan, thank you very much for giving me this hour, and I'm glad we're able to get this done, and can't wait for the people to just get an insight of your life, your journey, things you've done, and things they didn't know about their famous show, Sanyu, behind the scenes, anything that you touched on. And we could sit here for a long time to just talk, but I appreciate that, and thank you very much.
Yeah, and Bonnie, man, thank you for hosting me, man, and I'm really happy, man. I've been following your work, and it feels good that you've been able to consider me also to sit in this chair. So I count myself lucky. And I pray that whatever we have shared helps someone out there and makes someone feel good about themselves.
Amen. Hey there, my name is Bonnie Chibuka, the podcast host of the Ugandan Boy Talk Show. Thanks for watching and listening to my podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. Also, leave a feedback on this podcast, because that's how we grow. Thank you very much and be blessed.
Hey guys, it's your boy Allan Kutos, and I've been hosted here on the Ugandan Boy Show with Bonnie. Man, we've had a good time. We've talked about my journey in film, music, my family. I just can't wait for you guys to listen or even watch what we've done here. And get ready to tune in and comment, share with anyone that you think will benefit from this. And trust me, I'm having a good time, and I can't wait to be back. I hope I'll be back sometime. See ya.